This is ODAT Chat, your instant connection to recovery and community, one day at a time. This podcast may contain strong language, sexual content, and spiritual truth. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey friend, welcome to another episode of the ODAT Chat podcast. My name is Arlena and I'll be your host. So today we're doing a step work call with Alyse. We're on step 3. So kind of funny, in the beginning of the episode with her, I was like, I don't know that she really gets the exercise. We're supposed to be looking at places where we're struggling, character defect kind of stuff. But, she seemed to be very clear about her answers. And I just thought, you know what? I don't know what anybody's work is about. That's really up to them. And as the interview went on, it just became so clear to me that she has done so much work that she's in a really good place. There wasn't really a lot for me to, I really didn't know how to help her. I was like, oh, okay, you're doing really good. There's nothing for me to say, I suppose. But I don't know. It just felt like she was in a really good place. And that is the result of doing the work. So I really hope that as you hear these episodes, that if you haven't done the steps before, that you get inspired to do the work yourself so that you yourself can have the transformation. And you know what I'll do is I will leave links to her first and second podcast episodes in the show notes so that you can listen to them all together. And I think you'll actually be able to see the transformation happening, right? So I'll leave those links in the show notes. And my big announcement for this episode is that Dr. Stephanie Covington has agreed to be a guest on the show. I am so excited. So it feels like such a big honor to have her on the show that, we've been using her worksheets all this time. I have personally been using her worksheets to sponsor other women for years. So to have a chance to talk to her is, I don't know, it's just such a full circle moment for me. I'm really excited. So, with that, please enjoy this episode with Alyse. Well, Alyse, thank you for joining me on the ODAT Chat podcast.
Hello, Arlena. Thank you for having me again.
Yay, we're on step 3. I'm so excited.
Yes, I'm happy to be doing this again.
I know, me too. Yeah, it's been a while since we did our last step, and I'm not publishing these in order. I'm kind of half. What's that word? What's that term? Thank you. Oh my God. Words are a challenge today, apparently. So yeah, we're on step 3. I'm super excited to do this. This is like one of those pivotal steps in my mind. And it's great to go through it. I can't wait to see how your experience was with the homework. But before we jump in, do you mind if we do a quick little prayer and kind of just invite God in?
Yeah.
Okay. Dear Father, thank you so much for this time with Alyse. I pray that you just enter our minds and our hearts, and we dedicate this time for healing for both of us and all who are listening. And I just pray that we may discover whatever it is that is the highest and greatest good for all involved. Amen.
Amen.
All right. So step 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God, quote, as we understand him. So it was, it said read Big Book, Chapter 5, How It Works, pages 58 through 63. And we're working out of a woman's way through the 12 steps. How was your experience with reading Chapter 5, How It Works?
Well, that is actually something because, I attend meetings. So that's read often, right? Those pages.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with them already. And I've read them a lot of times. Right now, but I just got back from I told you my trip. So
that's exciting. So you went to Italy and
France.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing. And you were able to stay sober. Yay.
Oh yeah. Exactly. I know. I did talk about that in a meeting yesterday, just how I felt so much freedom on this vacation
Really?
as a sober woman. I did, because nothing gets in the way anymore. I don't have that obsession of the mind.
Wow.
And, we traveled with, the first week it was just myself and my daughters. The second week it was with my parents. And my dad still, he drinks, but I've never seen him drunk. So I wouldn't say his life is unmanageable by any means. However, he does like to have his drinks starting at 5 p.m. And he wants to be back home by that time. We've rented a place. So yeah, it kind of just was refreshing for me to think, and my daughter and I went running at that time instead,
Nice.
like the prettiest time of day along this beautiful canal where Van Gogh was inspired to do his paintings. And so I just reflected a lot on the freedom that we find, and just knowing that it's not an option anymore, going back, should I try it? Or the other thing that's good about me, I guess it makes it a little easier, is I was never a wine drinker. And there's so much of that in Italy and France, but,
Yeah. You just got to skip it all together. That, that's an interesting observation, somebody who is, is drinking in a manageable type of way, but it still definitely sounds like it regulated his day.
Yeah.
To some extent.
Yeah, he's a very scheduled person. Mm-hmm. And he this whole topic about control, it's interesting because my father is a very controlling person. So
you're like, I wonder where I got that from.
Well, I'm not like him in that way. And especially not after doing this program and the steps. Awesome. I feel like it freed me a lot of thinking I have control over things. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad you had such a wonderful experience.
Thank you. Yeah.
And you could enjoy your family.
Yes.
So number 1 was to look up control in the dictionary and list 2 to 5 techniques that you use to control people, places, and things. What did you have for that?
I put, looked up control in the dictionary. I found the power to influence or direct people's behavior or the course of events. Determine the behavior or supervise the running of, to be in charge of, run, manage, direct, administer. So it is kind of a hard one because I've shared with you before, I within the past year, have a promotion where I do actually manage a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I didn't do that in my former roles in my career. And so this has been a whole new thing for me, a new experience of how I'm kind of expected to manage behavior of other people.
Yeah.
So I've had to do a lot of, I wrote about it here.
Okay.
2 to 5 techniques. I said, I pray.
I'm sorry, but the 2 to 5 techniques is to control. Yeah, to control people, places, or things, like things outside of yourself.
Right. I pray as an attempt to keep some semblance of control in my world.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll pray for particular things.
Mm-hmm.
Something that helps keep me kind of in a, I know that I have no control of the outcome, but I still do pray and ask for particular things. So maybe I feel like that's kind of a controlling thing. I don't know. Okay. I attend trainings to learn best practices to manage people and help to direct their behavior. I also seek outside resources like an faculty and staff assistance program to help me learn how to, quote, control my subordinates. I put control, quote. I ask God to direct my thinking each morning. I allow time to make decisions. I get enough sleep every night. This is essential for my success and my sense of control, quote, over things I can actually control. And then one thing, I express my opinion about others' behavior to make a point of how not to do things. Mm-hmm. And I realize this is my manipulative way to influence others to see that my way is better than the examples I give of poor behavior. So those were the techniques that I came up with.
Okay. That's really interesting. I guess every time I've always approached these questions, it's, I think of control in like a negative light, but this is different. This is like healthy.
Oh,
this is, I was like,
I don't know if
wow.
the last one I just said is that healthy, but I don't know.
Well, yeah, but that was the first thing that came up. I was waiting for you to talk about how you control your kids with anger or something.
Oh,
How I control, you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, I mean, I actually listened to your step 3 with another woman that you interviewed on this podcast, and her, I kind of related it to her, especially in the beginning, because, I've done the steps before. So
yeah, you're almost a year sober.
And I've been in recovery for 4 years. So, I mean, I feel like I am a pretty healthy minded person.
Yes. Yeah.
So, but I did listen to that one, in that she said she kind of, and you said maybe kind of by allowing other people to take the control is a way of control.
Oh, right. Yeah.
She said she was not a controlling person.
Mm-hmm.
Relate to her more. I'm not a classic big book, like want to run the show and all the players. If anything, I was worried about how I would be a good supervisor, because I don't like to take control and try to be in charge of things. I listened to what you said, and I thought, well, you need to take more, like be more assertive, and take more command in a way. So it kind of like, because other people rely on you for that. They want you to be the one to make decisions. Otherwise, they're going to think it's a burden on them to always be the one making a decision. So I thought maybe that's how I used to be before I kind of got recovered, because I don't try to control or manipulate. I mean, when I was drinking, I did try to hide things, of course, because I was not wanting people to know that I was drinking.
Oh, okay.
But again, I feel like I'm in a pretty good place.
Yeah, you really are.
So.
Okay. It's so funny. I was like, you're not bringing me any problems. I don't know how to help you. You're like, I'm fine. Everything's good. There's no.
Well, that's definitely not all the time. I mean, it's a daily practice, right?
For sure, yeah.
I mean, I do think that prayer, in a way, like I'll give you an example. Like, I pray every day that my daughters can get pregnant in the future.
Oh, you do?
Something that, because they want to have children, and I just pray, like, please, dear God, let both of my daughters be able to get pregnant, carry healthy pregnancies, and deliver healthy babies. Like, I'll say specific things, and like, if that didn't happen, I'd be pretty bummed and sad. So in a way, I guess I feel like that's what gives me. But I don't know. I mean, is that good, or is that, I don't know how healthy.
Oh, listen, I stay away from good or bad. You know what I mean? I like to deal in the realm of cause and effect. So if it raises an issue for you later, then we look back and go,
well, it's kind of getting attached to the outcomes of something. And I know I do that because I don't have control of the outcome. But I still feel like it's safe enough to put my wishes out there into the universe and ask for certain specific things. So
yeah, doesn't hurt to ask. In my experience, I always heard that God either says yes, not yet, or I have something better for you.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't like to think of no. It's usually no because there's something better.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. Yeah,
exactly. That just makes me feel better anyway.
Yeah. No, I mean, well, I've been able to just do that with certain jobs that I didn't get, and then look back and realize, oh, well, what I have is so much more better suited for me,
Right,
so,
right.
It's true. It's neat in life when you can kind of look back and see that something you really thought you wanted wouldn't have been the best thing. So,
right.
What happens when I'm going to be 50 soon. So that's what happens at this time. Maybe.
Yay!
To see things
differently. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on, because I think those are great examples of healthy emotion management. So, but anyway, okay. So you had, let's see. Okay. So the next one was explain what you imagine would happen in each example if you were unable to control it. So what did you list for those things?
I said, in number one above, about my daughters, if they aren't able to get pregnant, I'll be sad for them and sad for myself, because they know they want to have children in the future, and I pray for grandchildren. So I ask and pray, and then I let it go.
Oh.
know I'm unable to control outcomes, but I still take action on whatever I believe I can control. I say the serenity prayer often and really ask God for the wisdom to know the difference between what I can and cannot control. And then I just said, I often don't like the way I feel. So I've learned through experience now that I will have to accept the way I feel and that it will pass, because it always does. Good feelings pass and uncomfortable feelings pass. That is wisdom. So rather than trying to control the way I feel, I sit with the discomfort and have faith that it will pass and better feelings will come. And in the meantime, I focus on someone outside of myself for whom I can be of service or a task on which I can be useful.
Dang, girl, look at you.
This program works if you work it, I'm telling you.
Oh my God, listen to you. I mean, I want to cry. That is amazing.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, because listen, that's the whole point of the distraction of addiction and all these other things, is that we don't want to accept our feelings. And here you are talking about just allowing your feeling to come up and allow it to pass, you know, be of service. That's a self-esteem building activity. Definitely cause and effect related. It's magical. I love it.
Well, the more things we do sober, like vacations, it really does get easier.
It does.
Share that message with people, because I wouldn't have believed that in the beginning.
Yeah.
So, it's just a much overall quality of life is so much better. It's incredible.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. That's amazing. I love it. Girl, you are on fire.
No. But I do have trouble, like at work. I said, if best practices don't help me feel a sense of control over my group, I will need to yield to prayer only, ask my higher power to guide my thinking and give me intuitive thoughts and inspiration. So draw advice from colleagues who face similar challenges. Because I have a challenging employee, and it's tough. It's really tough. Sometimes I don't know what the best decision is. And it's also scary because people can come after you and, complain about you. And that's a little scary.
Yeah.
If you try to discipline them, because that's a lot of times if you go to, professionals that avail themselves at where I work, they'll give you all these steps where you have to really start disciplinary action. And those people can certainly retaliate and start their own process, especially if they're like represented by a union,
That sounds awful.
Yeah, that's why people try to avoid having to be a real supervisor.
Yeah, because those are hard problems.
It's kind of the only way to get advanced, unfortunately. So, and there's a lot of really rewarding things about it too. So,
for sure. Yeah. Tell me a little more about your challenging employee. How is this person presenting with challenges? Is it they're late? Are they rude?
Well, and this is the part. Yes, she can. Well, she's very seemingly she tries to be like this really Zen person. Like she goes to a meditation temple regularly. She's very vegan and wants to be peaceful and posts all these things in her office, but she has anger outbursts, and they come out in my staff meetings at me and at a new employee who I hired, who she feels, I think, very threatened by because the woman's doing such a good job and she's been doing her job for over a decade. So that's the thing, is I'm the new boss that came in, and I think she thinks she could do a lot of things. Like I've been here so long, I know what I'm talking about. And that kind of, I think she feels like, I was told though, when I stepped into this position, they give you this supervisory laboratory training. And I went to it and they said, you're always going to, as a new boss, you're always going to have at least one employee who thinks they can do the job better than you. Mm-hmm. I think that's the case. She feels a sense of ownership of part of the place. Like she's the one who's in control. She's the boss. Right. So it's hard. And then, the outbursts are just really inappropriate and uncomfortable.
Wow.
And I had to say kind of to everybody one time, I did say, I sensed some resentments here today in the staff meeting. And I just want to let you know, I do have an open door policy. And do any of you feel like you haven't been able to come and talk to me with some issues that, and they all said, oh no, we feel comfortable coming to you, so I just kind of had to reiterate that. Yeah. And then she does overstep, and this is the type of thing that I don't like. There is a hierarchy that exists, and I have to start realizing, I am the boss. That doesn't make me any better than anybody else, but there is a hierarchy, and she steps above that hierarchy all the time and tries to make appointments with people and actually misrepresents herself. She calls herself administrator of the center, and that's not her title. So I had to ask all of my employees to make sure their title was like a payroll approved title.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Cause people thought, oh, administrator, like you're the one who's in charge, but that's not true. So
wow.
Misrepresenting herself, making appointments that, I should have been included in. So it was so uncomfortable for me because I felt like, okay, I don't believe in this thing. I want to treat everybody equally and not say, oh, that's inappropriate because you're my subordinate. Like I want people to feel like they can reach out to people and they're just as important as, you know what I'm saying? Like that was a hard for me.
Yeah.
So I had to go and make an appointment with this free, basically like a counselor who said that they would talk to us if we ever had problematic employee situations. And she basically made me feel like, there is a hierarchy in place. It exists. And you do have to remind people that you are the one who's in charge. You're the boss. So it was hard for me.
I bet. But look at you stepping up.
Assertiveness training, I think. So.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like this is like a perfect environment for you to, evolve in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I'm sorry. I was going to say, I'm sorry that's happening to you, but at the same time, it sounds like you're learning so much about yourself and growing to the next level that it sounds like a good thing.
I wonder about this sometimes because you know how they say that we kind of stop maturing, when we start drinking or altering our minds. Like I've really considered that a lot and thought about that. Like in some ways, I never really became like a real grown up, like a real woman, like This is my time. Like I can't be the wingman anymore. I'm the one who has to make the hard decisions and answer the hard questions and be stern with people.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was a harder thing for me because of my background with.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So, I'm a younger sister too. So I had an older sister who always kind of, took the lead on a lot of responsible things, but
yeah.
But if I would be a more assertive person today, if I didn't have this history of alcoholism.
Well, just by what you shared about your dad being controlling, it's like what that teaches is that you're not capable of leadership or that you're not capable of taking responsibility. Mm-hmm. And so, I think in that environment, it's natural to defer responsibility to others.
Yeah.
And to not be visible, it's like to not be seen.
Yeah.
And you are blossoming into this role where you're like, yeah, I am the boss and this is my responsibility and that's your responsibility. And people's, even though there's like that, hierarchy, like you were saying, like where someone is a subordinate, doesn't mean they deserve any less respect. It's like, here's my role, my responsibilities.
There's a protocol. Yeah.
Yeah.
A line of communication.
Doesn't mean anyone's more valuable than anyone else.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very cool.
Well, in regard to my dad, he has no reason to be worried about me now or for the past 4 or 5 years, but he did see me at my lowest when I was a broken woman. Their parents were very supportive during my divorce, which was, when I had my bottom. So he has, a past with worrying about me. So
we all have a past.
Yeah, so, he's just also, he's very, wants his grandchildren to be protected and safe, and he worries, and
he's human.
Yeah. He's a good man. He's got a lot of integrity. I really respect him.
Yeah.
He is uptight though. I mean, definitely. Yeah.
Well, but we all have our thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's a respectful person. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see. Was there anything else left on that one that you wanted to share?
I don't think so. Well, I mean, explain an alternative way of handling each situation by changing your own actions and attitudes instead of trying to control them. So I can ask God for anything, but I can't get too attached to outcomes. I can ask mostly that I start really, really trusting that there is a power out there that has my back.
I love that.
I can look for evidence of this higher power everywhere. I can ask for ways to maintain constant contact with my higher power. I can seek God's grace. I can meditate whenever possible to strengthen my awareness, and then I can walk with awareness, which will allow my eyes to see the beauty of life here on earth. And I do have power to pause and take my time to come up with answers.
That's beautiful.
I think meditation really has changed my life. I know I need to just get deeper and deeper into that. I was so impulsive before in my drinking days that's something I've learned through recovery is pausing and taking my time, even a couple days. Sometimes if people are asking at work, I find that if I sleep over a night or two, if I have, sometimes I don't have the
luxury. Yeah.
Sometimes the luxury, exactly. But when I do, I just always find that I come up with a much more creative decision. So
yeah, sometimes taking a nap helps.
Yeah,
good sleep.
Like if we look for the good and we look for the beauty constantly, I've heard people say that in meetings, that they're just working on like constantly trying to have contact with their higher power. So they go whenever they can to just like look around, and that's a beautiful way to live. It is this awareness, this meditation awareness, that can improve our life so much.
Yeah, being fully present.
Sober, can you do that though?
I know, sure seems like it.
I feel like I used to be that kind of seeker where I would do meditation classes and things like that, but I still would drink. It doesn't work when you don't have a really fully present, aware mind,
Yeah, I agree. That's funny.
Yeah.
Good. No, that's really amazing. I just love that the whole don't get attached to outcomes and being fully present in the moment and utilizing meditation, and that's awesome. What about, since you are on fire here and it just sounds like you're on the beam. What was your response to the difference between submission and surrender?
I said, being submissive is when I allow something unhealthy to guide my actions. I might have taken that from one of the books, even the women's book that you're referencing. Avoiding a fight with my husband by being submissive to his so-called needs, even if I don't agree. An example of this might be damaging his ego by saying something I know will offend him, like, oh, this is so silly. I don't even want to say what it is.
Oh my God, now you have to.
Oh, well, his mother just moved into our building. And so, I mean, obviously, I'm sounding like I've got it all together in a way, but my life is messy sometimes. Obviously, I have a second marriage. And so we had the blending of families, and that hasn't always been easy. And when they're all around, it's not easy. So I have to pick my battles because my new husband and my daughters don't always get along. But when his mother moved in, he took my daughter's pillows and gave them to his mother.
What?
And so when I called him out on it, like he just went off on me. I mean, I couldn't believe that offended him so much. It was ridiculous. But I know when I start a fight with him, if I rile him up to a certain point, it will come out and it won't stop. He just has a really bad temper.
Wow, he's like a volcano. Huh?
Sometimes maybe I'm more submissive because I want peace and serenity.
Mm.
I agree with him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I am probably submissive with him to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
And that's more, like I said, it's more that because I really don't want to go there and see him have his temper tantrum. I just would rather avoid that. But then my daughters sometimes will take it that
you don't care.
I'm kowtowing to him too much. Like, why don't you stand up for, and I feel like because I don't want to deal with that anger. And I'm always in the middle. That's the problem. When I'm alone with my husband, we get along so well and I love him. But when we're all together, I start having, problems and doubts. It's because I don't understand why he can't soften his heart more. I mean, everybody else loves my daughters. They think they're wonderful, evolved, engaged young women. So it's very baffling for other people. I think it's because he's very jealous of the love that I have with them, which might be kind of weird. He has 2 sons of his own, and I don't think he has that. He doesn't have that closeness that I have with my daughters. So it might be kind of threatening, because, yeah.
That's interesting though. So he felt like it was okay to, and I'm assuming these are like decorative pillows or something, right?
No, it's their sleeping pillows. I had to ask.
So weird.
To bring over. Yeah, and for him to get mad at me for calling him out on it.
So
they're pillows. They need pillows. He said my mother needed them. She's almost 90 years old, and I really like his mom. She's a lovely woman. I felt like
they're $5 at Target. For
God's sakes, yeah.
And I mean, it's like,
and now I feel awkward for asking her back. I'm not going to ask for them back.
Just go get new ones.
Yeah, sometimes I hate to generalize, but sometimes I think it's a kind of a guy thing. I hate saying that because I hear people, but it's kind of like
what's a guy thing?
Taking things that aren't yours and thinking it's okay without like taking your leftovers that you left in the refrigerator that you were looking forward to and eating them and not asking you if it's okay.
Not a guy thing. That's not a guy thing.
You don't think so?
No.
My dad does that.
Okay. Well, that's why you think it's a guy thing. No, that's a self-centered person thing. I mean, taking things aren't yours is typically called stealing, right? And so, I mean, how would he like it if you took something of his and gave it away? I mean, that's it's the principle that
it is. I agree.
And it's like, hey, I don't know how you present the information, but it's like, hey, that was a possession that belonged to this person. Yeah. You could easily go to the store and go get it. There's no need to steal from somebody to.
Yeah.
Yeah. 90-year-old mom deserves her own damn pillows. It's just a funny thing.
It is. There's definitely some, interesting things about this second marriage, I guess.
Yeah.
That makes me, go, what is the matter with me?
I don't
want to think that I've made a mistake again with this,
Oh, well, here's the good news, though, is that nobody is perfect. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it was like you weren't going to be able to pick somebody better than your husband because everybody has their things. So it's
true. Absolutely. Yeah. And he has a lot of redeeming qualities.
Yeah. It's not a thing. It's just everyone has their funny little things, right? So this is his funny little thing where he feels like he justified it in his mind for some reason. That's whatever. Yeah. But I think
he does some strange behaviors that are very childish when it comes to my daughters. And they can be messy. That's one thing I will say, that it can be hard to live with that and cohabitate with people who, he doesn't think they pull their weight so much here.
They're kids. They don't. And he's probably right. But kids are a pain in the ass. That's... We love them.
Yeah, I wish. Okay, so in that way, I wish that he could open his heart more. I would like to change and control him in that way, make him love my daughters. That's hard to live with.
Yeah, that would be. But your kids are getting older, and they're not. They're going away.
Exactly. So. Exactly. Yeah.
Sometimes problems just kind of work themselves out.
Yeah. My daughter was here before when we were talking, and now she just left. It's interesting because she actually suffered a small amount of anorexia. She went through a time of anorexia. Mm-hmm. And I can really speak similar language about obsession of the mind. Mm-hmm. So I use a lot of what I've learned in this program. We really talk a lot about that. She's gotten support through therapy, and she wants to actually go into psychology to help women who've gone through the same struggles.
Yeah.
But I would like about control. That's such an interesting, different thing. But people ask in therapy with her, like if she's ever had OCD in her family, which is definitely true. You know, there's OCD, like with my parents, I had it. I've really been relieved of my OCD through working this program and meditation and all of that, and realized that I think you probably can work through that just through improving your thought process, I guess.
Absolutely. That's a good place to start. And then if that doesn't work, you can, seek outside help, and there's definitely a path to that, but I'm glad you were able to overcome that. But I want to keep the focus on you though for this process. Yeah. So we talked about submission.
Yes.
And I took you on a tangent about your husband.
Yeah. But because I think I'm submissive.
This could also be called Overthinkers Anonymous.
True. Very true.
But what did you have for surrender? Did you have something different for surrender?
The difference between, I said surrender is when I allow something good and all loving and all supportive to guide my actions.
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm sorry, could say it one more time.
Surrender is when I allow something good and all loving and all supportive to guide my actions.
Oh, I love that.
And surrender for me really was when I decided one morning that I just couldn't live the way I was living anymore. Yeah. It was a Saturday, and I very easily could have, gone to the local liquor store and started my day, and trying to carry on that way. And I just decided I can't do this anymore.
Can't do it. I mean, that's almost like a third step right there.
Yeah. I knew that something else needed to, I didn't know how I was going to do it. I just knew I couldn't do it anymore. So I did start going to meetings at that point.
That's such a magical place to be when you recognize I can't do this anymore. Yeah. And what that's really saying is my self-sufficiency, my own self-reliance is failing me, and I need help.
And it was kind of the first time I had a glimmer of hope that I could get out of the place where I was. I mean, I was just, every day I was drinking, and just to an extreme, like where I would just wake up and drink more. I mean, it was terrible.
Yeah, that's a terrible place to be.
It was a terrible place. It was my medicine. It was the only way I could get out of it was the shame thing.
It was the shame, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I didn't have good coping skills, that's for sure.
I know.
Really what it was I felt like that's what I used to cope.
Yeah, self-medicate.
To blot out everything, right? So
I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we actually kind of went over some examples, maybe submissiveness. What about how could you have handled this situation by surrendering instead? What did you have for that one?
I said by praying for that person.
Oh, by praying for them?
Yeah, that's something I started doing with this employee that I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. I do think she's a well-intentioned person. That's good. But I would start praying. One of the meditations, I have insight timer, and I found this, he's an Irish guy, but he did this prayer that I really loved where he said, may you be well, may you be happy, may you find peace. So you pray that for yourself, and then you pray that for all those, even your so-called enemies or whatever, right? And it aligns with what the big book says to pray for somebody who you have resentment towards. So I started praying a lot.
I love that.
And how to,
I love Insight Timer, by the way. I have that as well.
I also said, I remind myself that I work for God.
That's so good.
Right? I work for God. So my decisions have to be what's best for the group as a whole. I pray that I won't be taken down by a woman who my therapist tells me is taking my whole group hostage with her manipulative behavior, making people feel sorry for her. That's true. That is what she does.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, I pray that I have the strength to say this to this woman. Do not mistake my kindness for weakness. I wrote this a long time ago, so I'm just reading it to you now. But
yeah, that sounds very Machiavellian.
I love that, though, kind of like, do not mistake my
kindness for weakness.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so all right. So the next one was, how do you honor and nurture your higher power? If you have listen, you are all over this one.
Yeah. I pray each morning, thanking my higher power for all my blessings. I pray for the well-being of all my loved ones. Then I meditate. And when in a good state, I look around for the beauty in the world and for evidence of a kind and benevolent God. I honor my power by going to meetings where I can be of service by speaking my experience, strength, and hope in an effort to help others suffering in with what I once suffered with.
Amen. That is amazing. So good.
Thank you.
What do you have as the difference between, and I don't actually like the way this is phrased. This is the second time I've been doing step 3 in 2 days. And I felt the same way yesterday when I was doing this. The difference between destructive selfishness and healthy selfishness. I would almost change that to, there is destructive selfishness, but that's really what we're talking about here is selfishness versus self-care.
Yeah, I said taking care of oneself to keep oneself stronger and healthier allows oneself, look at how I wrote this, so proper, to function more effectively with clarity of mind and strength in body, enabling oneself to care for others. If you don't put yourself first and strengthen yourself with good sleep, exercise, and meditation, you are not in a condition to care for others. Working the steps and going to meetings are also examples of healthy selfishness. They take time to do, so someone might think that you are selfish for prioritizing your time to do these things. But in the overall bigger picture, taking this time to do these things makes you a stronger, more effectively available, selfless person for your loved ones.
You are rocking this one. Oh my God, I am so happy. So this sounds so good. I mean, you are so on it.
Well, I listen to people so much, I think, because I wanted to be as well as possible. I wanted it so badly that I just listened to everybody's advice. And they say, the more work you put into this, the more you get out. Like, how good do you want to feel?
Yeah.
You're
taking action. You're taking so much action. Yeah. And your self-care is on point, right?
Exercise is a huge thing for me.
Yeah.
It's because I do get into points where I feel like I'm kind of going through depression, like especially when I go off to college, But
is that depression or is that like
sadness, loneliness?
Situations? Yeah. Like I dread the day.
Yeah. I think people are so conditioned in our society to sometimes think that we're supposed to feel good all the time. And if we don't, then there's something wrong.
Exactly.
And that's not true. It is that part of just sitting through just knowing this too shall pass.
Right.
I don't feel good right now. It's part of life.
Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily depression.
Yeah.
No, that's a very healthy way to respond to that. And it goes back to what you were saying earlier about how you now, because of all the self-care that you're doing, you now have the ability to accept that you're having a negative feeling and you allow it to pass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really,
so
healthy.
I pass that on to my girls as much as possible. So
Yeah. What a great motivation.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
You asked a few instances of destructive selfishness in my past.
Mm-hmm.
I said not finding help for my obsession with alcohol was selfish, but I didn't know the way out at the time. It's a disease, so it's hard to know that your obsession is what is causing you to act selfishly. Getting the substance is really the only important thing in this disease, or planning to get it. So even if you're not on the substance, you arrange your day around getting it by a certain time. So anyone or anything that gets in your way of this will probably be hurt and think you're selfish because you're not giving your time or attention to them enough.
Yeah.
But that was the case with my daughters, because I would even when I couldn't drive, because I had a DUI in the past, I would run. I would tell them I was doing laundry downstairs, and I would run to the liquor store as fast as I could, buy my drinks, and and drink them. And then that would take my awareness away from my kids.
Right.
So definitely selfish. But again, like what I'm saying is, that's what's so hard about this disease. If you really believe it's a disease, because it's not really your fault, right? But then once you recover, it's your responsibility to stay well. But it's not your fault when you have it, and it's so hard not to be selfish, because it's true. Like, all you need is your fix, right? I mean, I wasn't addicted to drugs, but alcohol, so I guess a drug, liquid drug, whatever.
It's a distraction that
I needed it to function.
Yeah.
That's how I got to be.
Because you didn't have any other coping skills. You didn't have any tools. Right. And it's like, we don't deserve condemnation for, being sick, for lack of a better, out of balance, let's say.
Yeah.
It's
but people don't understand that.
They don't. And we don't even understand it.
Yeah.
What I mean? Like, we don't even understand it for ourselves. Right. So that's where the shame comes from. It's like, I think I should be better than this. I'm a
defective, bad person. Inherently, that's kind of what you start thinking, like, God, I'm just like, this is all I want right now. Even if I miss something, I'm going to go get my drinks. You
can't help it. It's compulsive.
It's terrible.
It is terrible.
It is terrible. And it's good to remind myself of this, not for the shaming thing, but just I don't want to go back there.
Yeah, there is an appropriate...
I'm realizing this right now. That's why it's so important to do these steps again. I'm so happy doing it again.
You're I'm so excited that you are where you are. It's so good. Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's just cause and effect. It's like you're putting in all this work, and now you get to reap all the rewards.
Well, when it feels good, and you know how it feels.
Oh, yeah.
When you're in a good place, you want to keep that up and not lose sight of it, Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think those destructive examples are something that we can all relate to. If you have an issue with, alcoholism or whatever, that's definitely something we can all relate to. I'm reading this question. List 3 ways you can improve your own sense of self by practicing healthy selfishness. Yeah. Well, you've just mentioned like a dozen things. And so you're all over this.
I run almost every day. That's time alone and time to pray and think and actually listen to your podcast when I'm running. Yay. I'm probably going to go to that silence retreat that I told you about if I can pull it off financially. Mm-hmm. But my kids will be away, so I'll be, not having to make dinner for anybody or whatever if I go away.
Right, yeah.
And then meditating, just finding quiet time for myself.
I love that. I think a lot of people in early recovery really miss the whole meditation piece, but it sounds like it's been such a healing modality for you.
It has, but it did take a long time. I wasn't able to meditate when maybe not even the first year of my attempt at sobriety. So I didn't do a whole lot of meditation. And now I understand how important it is.
Yeah.
Time does matter, time does matter. And it takes time to get into a good place, I think. But yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's see. So the next one, it looks like an exercise. Try to do one of these each day in the upcoming week and note them here in your journal. So it has 5 days of, it sounds like you're doing all these things every day. Is that an accurate statement?
Pretty much. Prayer, meditation, meetings I go to, realistically, maybe 2 to 3 a week right now.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah. I think that in conjunction with listening to the podcast, recovery podcast, when I'm running, I'm really getting a lot of, that has helped me so much. People who just go to meetings and don't listen to the podcast, I feel like I'm getting so much positive information by listening to you and all the other good people out there doing such good work.
What other ones would you recommend?
I listened to the Bubble Hour.
Oh, love her. Jean McCarthy.
I did listen to the recovery the Omar Pinto
recovery. It used to be the share. Yeah, it used to be shared podcast. Now
Share,
it's
that's
Recovery
right.
Revolution.
I like the fun girl. What is her name? She's really great. Sober Girl's Guide or something like that.
Oh yeah, Jessica.
Yeah, she's fun to listen to.
Yeah, A Sober Girl's Guide. Okay.
She comes from a different angle because I don't think she does a 12-step program, but
no.
But she's just a fun, person to listen to.
Yeah, and she still is using all the basic principles.
Yeah.
For the most part, I think.
It's interesting because a lot of the revelations that she has, she's like, oh my gosh, say that again. What did you, when she's interviewing people, and the person will say something that you and I probably hear all the time. We do that. And it's from that, usually. It's some kind of piece of wisdom that we hear.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of cool because it's like she may resist it or maybe not resist it, but doesn't do it. But she actually is getting all that.
Still doing it.
Messages,
It's fine. It's fine. There are many paths. Yeah, I love her. She's great.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, those are good. Those are 3 good ones. I'll be sure to list those 3 in the notes in case someone wants to reference back.
Yeah. Bubble Hour. I started getting sober listening to the Bubble Hour when all the ladies were on it. I think there were four of them at one point.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I forgot about that.
That was a huge part of my recovery, definitely.
Yeah, Jean McCarthy is the lone survivor, I think.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's really wise. I enjoy listening to her a lot.
She's great. Awesome. Okay, and then we're almost at the end here. So at the end of each day, write down how you felt both physically and emotionally after doing these self-healing acts.
I said, complete, filled up, ready to be of service to others at work and in my private life.
Isn't that so complete and filled up? Love it. Let's see. At the end of the week, reflect on these actions and write down how it affected your spiritual growth. What has changed for you? Everything.
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of said all of this, just like taking care of yourself, self-care, meditation, good sleep, and exercise. I said asking for guidance from God and then letting go of the results and outcomes is something that allows me to feel spiritually fulfilled. But it is a one day at a time reprieve that I must do each and every day.
Girl, you just healed the world. That was it.
I don't feel as good every day. It's a Saturday. I went for a run this morning.
Yeah.
Girls with me still, I have a lot to be really grateful for at the moment.
Yeah. No, you are on fire. I love hearing it. You're taking so much action and you get to reap all the rewards from it. And I mean, this is like a clinic in how to do recovery. So I love it. You are on fire.
Thank you.
Yay. Well, listen, I cannot wait. You are so on fire. I cannot wait to send you the 4th step.
Okay.
You might not. I mean, you're so zen right now. You might not have anything.
I'm sure I can come up with. I mean,
Except for that bitch at work. No, I'm just kidding.
Come up with some things. I can come up with some resentments.
the pillow and the lady at work. That's not bad. That's not bad. As far as resentments go.
Well, it's so funny because I used to think about drinking. Like there was one time I got in a fight with my husband and we were out of the country in another country and I left and he went running after me and he said something like, don't drink. And I looked at him like, are you kidding me? Of course I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to give that power to you. Like I finally realized that drinking at someone, you're giving them this amazing power that you've developed for yourself by staying sober all this time. And like, there's no way I'm going to give that away,
Isn't
so
that something?
I hurt myself because that's all it does is hurt myself to drink. And I don't want that. And I don't always feel like that. That's why I got to stay on all of these things every day because I told you I did drink and I had felt like I was in pretty good places before I decided to take that drink, which was just insane, Yeah. Why would I ruin something but I feel different this time. I do feel a lot stronger.
You are stronger.
I know now that there is nothing in that alcohol. Nothing.
Nothing for you.
high, I mean, it was a year ago. It didn't make me feel high. I even almost tried to meditate in it. Like, how is this alcohol making me feel? Is it making me feel that warm feeling that, all those things that I used to try to achieve with drinking. And so it's like, it does not work. There's nothing there. There has to be something else there. If I need to try to feel high, it's got to be a natural something.
Right.
And I'll try anything, like even if people consider it like woo woo or whatever the term is,
Right. Yeah. It's a very invalidating term. It's very dismissive.
Validating. Yeah. I had to look it up.
Dismissive.
What exactly does this mean?
I think that's a word, for people who don't like to,
be in touch with themselves.
For people who don't like feelings. It's like, it's very like minimizing, better than, like, oh, you're just,
like, oh, you need that stuff. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's very superior.
I think it's for people who aren't strong enough to do self-reflection, because everybody needs to do that. Right?
It's a very condescending term, but
that's true. I'm sorry for using it.
Oh, no. I say it all.
I
say it all the time.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah, because I don't want people
open-minded to trying like the silence retreat and anything out there that might be like spiritually enlightening.
Yeah. No, you are so open-minded, and I think that's a value. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I mean, I am so grateful that, it just, my heart feels full. You're just on fire, and I love where your head is at and your heart is at. And it's very inspiring to me to watch somebody, even in this, it's been a long period since, we started the very step one to today, but even in that amount of time, you almost are like your whole tone. And talk about like, the book talks about like the complete psychic transformation.
Yeah.
You see it in you. And it's so exciting to witness that kind of transformation. And that was what I was really hoping when we did the podcast, is that people could witness the transformation. So,
good. Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing all this work and being willing to play along.
Of course. Thank you. It's helping me so much. This was my day with you. So.
Well, listen, I'm going to go ahead and send you step 4. I don't think you have it yet, so I'll shoot that over to you. And when you're ready, we'll schedule another call.
Sounds good.
All right, love. Thank you so much. You have a great day. Okay. Bye.
Thanks, bye.
One last thing before you go. If you enjoyed the podcast today, please don't forget to subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher and leave a review. And if you'd like to make a donation to the podcast and help me keep the lights on, you can do so by visiting odatchat.com. There's a donation button or membership button on the right-hand side. Have a great day. Thank you so much for joining us.